Hey everybody, this is the Swamp Cleaner Harry here, and we are here for a impromptu stream. I'm here with a good buddy of mine. His name is Lord Nifty. We're also waiting for another good buddy of mine. His name is Chris Logic Media. He's a little bit late, but we decided we're just gonna hop on late night. We're just gonna chat about stuff, catch up. It's been a little while since I streamed with some friends, so this will be good. We'll try to keep it political light, try to avoid a lot of the inflammatory stuff and the stuff that creates the incessant headaches that we all want to avoid. But anyway, welcome, Lord Nifty. Welcome back to the channel. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been away for a bit. A lot of reasons for that I won't go into, but yep, here I am. And Australia's getting. It's always been strange, really. I think from an overseas perspective, but it's getting stranger even for us. Things are you read about things and people just go. I mean, unfortunately, people are recognizing how bizarre some of this stuff is. One that's just popped up today I've seen, and a politician was promoting this. This is how everyone knows about it. Basically, there's a school in the state of Victoria which is teaching girls as young as 12 how to sext, basically. You know, how to safely send pictures, like naughty pictures of themselves to their boyfriends and
Wait,
everyone.
did you say that was the Safe Schools program?
No, it's not part of the Safe Schools program. Just one school is doing it.
Okay. Because I thought that they were that got demonetized. I thought that the Safe Schools got its money pulled out of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Dracula, though. There's always someone trying to resurrect it. You know, you bury it in concrete, and there's someone there with a chisel trying to dig it out. But this one is just one school has just done it, apparently, well, that we know of. And they're teaching it to kids as young as 12 how to sex. And it's basically telling them one thing I found interesting is that, oh, don't take any pictures of your head, like involve your face, so then you can deny it's you later on. It's like, what? I mean, it's actually illegal. It's actually illegal to distribute pictures of underage people.
Well, if anything, like there's a
anyone, so it's why you could be. If it gets sent to you, you're arrested.
Well, have you ever heard of this YouTuber, kind of like a shitty guy? His name is Onision. Have you ever heard of him?
Oh,
remember his whole shit, like 13-year-old sending him half nudes, and he would rate them. Yeah, if he was in Australia, he'd be freaking in a second. He'd be gone.
That would just be no. And we have a Greens politician, Adam Brands, actually saying what a good thing this is, and how it's disappointing that other politicians who have got wind of it are condemning it. It's just bizarre. I mean, we're talking about 12-year-olds sending and 12-year-olds sending pictures around.
But okay, well, if you think about it, what is sexy about a 12-year-old's body?
Well, I suppose if you're another 12-year-old, you might like it. But that's it just strikes me as I mean, I feel like talking about anything sexual to a 13-year-old or 14-year-old should make you feel dirty.
Yeah, you should feel like you should actually be probably going to jail just for talking about it.
Yeah, just like, I mean, it's like, hey, let's talk to kids about sex. It's like it should be a case of, oh my God, we've got to do sex education. Who wants to draw straws? Who wants to be the poor bastard who needs to take a shower?
Yeah, and it should not be. It should not be done before. It should never be done before. Sexual education should only be started once that part of the brain has become active in the child. I mean, it's pointless. All it's doing before that happens in the child's brain, all that's doing is creating roadblocks and barriers and confusion for when they actually do hit puberty. And this will actually contribute to the spike in the depression and the suicidal thoughts that trans people have all the time, because you're going to have, first off, it was bad enough where you have a lot of people who have gender dysphoria confused and they legitimately need help. But then you have the whole social justice aspect taking it under its wing and perpetuating that, oh no, it's not a bad thing, which it isn't. And that's okay. But it's pushing even further, that one step further, saying maybe you should look at whether or not you are this or not. No, you shouldn't be putting that question into their mind before it even has any relevance. You need to one step, before the other. Tell them, have them understand what green and blue and red is before they understand what a penis and a vagina is.
Yeah, mean, kids, I mean, they say, oh, kids are curious about these things, but they're generally not that curious. And the reason why sex education is traditionally held about the age of 12, because everyone's hit puberty by then. I mean, obviously some kids are early, some kids hit puberty at 10 in some cases. It's quite rare though. But that's why, because they need to know what's going on. They need to know, you know, the basic biological things so they're not freaked out.
Oh yeah, I mean, and this whole education before they even need it creates the whole freak out in the first place. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We're having kids who have mental problems because of transgender. Well, you're just have you seen the amount of transgender cases that are now coming out? It's exploding. It's going to like tenfold.
Well, I think it's also, I mean, look at what we tell young people. We tell young girls that, you know, you're going to be a woman, you're going to be discriminated against in the workplace, you know, you're going to be sexually harassed, all these bad things are going to happen to you because you're a woman. And in boys, we tell boys, well, you're a boy, you're probably going to grow up to be a rapist, you're going to be aggressive, you're going to treat women like crap. We're basically giving both genders, young people of both genders, reasons not to be that gender, to hate that gender. One is because you're a monster, and the other one is you're going to have a hard time.
Plus, if anything, sorry.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're basically like, so if anyone does, like any young person does feel uncomfortable in their skin for whatever reason, and a lot of young people do, for all sorts of reasons, and then you're telling them that, well, you're going to have a bad time or you're going to be a bad person because you're that gender, I think that just adds to it as well. They don't feel that maybe they're the other gender.
They could be better. They could do something. They could not do this. See, I was going to say that exactly. You got to exactly what I was going to say. Because if you perpetuate this, then you're going to have the girl who's going to be like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to be the defenseless old girl. I guess I'm eventually going to get raped. And you're going to have the boy who's like, well, I'm not going to be able to understand and curb my aggression. I'm just going to end up raping somebody when I'm older. And this will actually drive these people's mentality into those realms of actually of setting themselves up to become an either a rapist or a rapee. I mean,
I mean, if it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy, if you keep telling someone they're going to do something, part of it, they're going to think that's expected of them, and they're going to, not all, but a lot of people will go, well, I might as well. You know, it's you see people in when they're in a bad position, say financially, and they're like, if they know they're going to go bankrupt, if they just go for broke, they just go, screw it, I'm not going to be responsible, I'm going to go bankrupt anyway. And I think that's the kind of situation you set them up for. And speaking of that, actually, one recently, we have this chain of stores which make pajamas and stuff. Basically, it's one of those fancy places. It does quite well. Peter Alexander, it's called, and they made pajamas for, you know, all ages, and they made one for boys, which has the words on it, "Boys will be boys." And they've withdrawn this from sale because one parent, well, supposedly parent, they claim to be, said it was sexist and misogynist to write "boys will be boys" on anything, really.
Was it just one report?
From everything everyone has seen, there's only been one complaint. And now the company's getting inundated with complaints by everyone else saying that's a ridiculous thing to do.
See, but it's amazing. Water, but like opposite, yeah.
And it's interesting that they withdraw something from one complaint, but the phrase "boys will be boys" has become bad in, I don't know about America, but in Australia, because it's been associated with stuff that you generally, like your average person wouldn't say it about. If you say "boys will be boys," it's usually because two friends got into a fist fight, or one of them tried a stupid stunt on a skateboard and hurt themselves, or if they're a teenager, they drank too much and tried to hit on a girl or whatever who told them to get stuffed, and, you know, usual stuff like that. But the phrase "boys will be boys" is being associated with sexual assault,
aggressiveness, acts of violence, acts of violence.
Not just stupid stuff boys do, because young boys tend to be risk takers, and we act. I mean,
like
I do.
Jimmy thought he could do that skateboard trick before he could. He broke his arm. Oh, boys will be boys.
Yeah, well, they're sitting there on the beach drooling over the women in bikinis, you know, something like that.
Boys will be boys. How
boys will be boys. Now it's associated with like kicking the crap out of your wife. it's associated with abusing women. And I don't know when this change occurred. It's kind of the constant changing of the lexicon to just attack someone.
Well, it's the shifting of what semantics of words are. Like the word doesn't change, but they change the semantics of what the word is for their own means. So this is all, it's all malleable. That's where they can dodge questions, they can dodge explanations and answers or like having to answer for their own choices and for how they push this. Hey, there he is.
Hey, there he is.
There he is.
Hang on, hang on, you fucking faggots. Hang on.
Here we go. And down we go. Okay.
There we go. I mean, I was just. Yep, go on, Chris. Yep.
How many fucking men have gone down on you in the past, Harry? Bet there's fucking.
Oh, hey, Chris.
I gotta put my fucking headphones on. You know how I fucked up? I fucked up because what happened was, the thing kept like bouncing around, like that little fucking green thing kept bouncing around, and I fucking restarted my Mac and everything. All I had to fucking do was select that I didn't want to use my video camera, and and let this be a lesson to you children. Don't drink during the day. All right, give me a second. I don't know. I can put my fucking camera on.
Was I right or was I right, Nifty?
Oh yeah, he's mad at it. But well, I can't drink during the night because I'm burning the caffeine.
Suck my dick, you West Australian faggot. Rapist, fucking hat, glasses, and all that shit. I'm not fucking maggoted. I've had like, I don't know. I've had like 3 glasses, maybe 6 glasses of wine. I'm fucking. This is.
Are they some glasses? When you say glasses, those giant sipper cups you get from the cinema.
Actually, they are legit fucking giant cups, dude. I'm not even gonna joke. I'll take a fucking photo for you right now. Hang on.
So I just had 6 cups of wine. It's like, what, you mean the 40-ounce big boy? Yeah, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on, Pufters.
That's a word you don't hear much.
No, not since the 1980s. Shit, I sound raspy as fuck. I sound like I should be working on a phone sex hotline. Hang on.
Well, it sounds like you just got done with this last client. Just have a lozenge, you'll be fine.
No,
I kind of lost what I was talking about there.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, we're changing the lexicon. How the words change just to hit you over the head with it.
Oh yeah, they change the semantics of the words so they can like slip out of you.
Oh fuck! Them. I didn't realize we were actually live. Shit. Fuck me, man! I thought I was walking into a fucking closed.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Welcome to the stream, everybody.
Anyway,
is everyone watching? You check the numbers. Oh.
3 people are watching, but one of them is me, just to make sure I got people. If the people are in the chat, I don't know if anybody else is watching. I know Dave is watching. I know Dave Invictus. Dave is watching. I know
Christ, I didn't realize we were fucking live. You could have given a boy a heads up about this. Anyway.
Yeah, get a heads up. You came in. I'm a big ass wine. Oh, I got a picture from him. Yeah, that's a decent size glass. You know. If you're a 10-year-old girl, I suppose. But
oh, hang on. You would know because that's the age demographic you date.
Oh, here he goes.
Oh Lord, that's
why you want to be on here, just to make those jokes again.
I mean, okay, if you put your thumb next to that glass, how tall is your thumb next to the glass? Like, come on. It's probably
it is pretty much. I don't know how you could fit. I think that's about 2/3 of your standard size can. I think you'd fit in that. You'd fit most of a can of Coke in that. So we're talking about
maybe like 8 ounces. So that's probably about like 8 ounces.
Yeah, 7-8 ounces maybe. I'm not sure how.
So it's like you had 8 glasses of water, except it was wine. Maybe you should have some water.
Basically, you had your standard 8 glasses of wine a day.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
But-
you know, like a car needs fuel to get going, doesn't it?
Oh, that's true. You know, it's yeah.
And
I mean,
I'm a car-
alcohol is sugars. It's good. It gives you energy.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
my
just like you know, Popeye, he needs his spinach. You need your alcohol.
yeah. Lord-
Popeye would be much better if he needed wine.
Harry needs that MAGA poster as a target practice. Anyway, I want to say sorry, man, for last night's stream, man. I think you got a little bit butthurt there, Harry, but like you chimed into the live chat at just about the right time when I was talking about like women or something, and then you popped up, and I was just like, whoo, yeah, the guns are blazing right now. I couldn't help myself, dude. But thank you for tuning in anyway.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I know. It's like it's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
No, it is all good, man. Like that mustache of yours, it looks like when like one of those trannies tries to grow a mustache, or like a lesbian grows a mustache. You know, like they just keep shaving and shaving and shaving until a couple of hairs pop out.
No, it's more like that like 50-year-old like cat lady who's like 350 pounds. Like they have that little mustache there because you know they don't shave it off. You've
That's
seen
what I
those.
like about
You've seen
Movember.
those people, right?
Yeah, that's what I like about Movember. We have this thing in Australia, Movember. It's a charity thing, and guys grow mustaches.
Oh yeah, we do that here too.
Yeah,
We do.
oh, you have that. Oh yeah, you Movember.
No
and you
shave,
see- you always
no
see a guy
shave
in the
November. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
and
shave
you always see a
November.
guy in the office. There's always that one guy in the office that realizes, you know, he's like, oh, you know, because he's been just clean shaven his whole life, and Movember, he goes, yes, I'm going to do Movember this year, and he's just really disappointed with himself
Mhm.
because, like, after like 3 weeks, he's got like 5 hairs or something, and he's just like,
Yeah. This
am
year,
doing it.
after like a couple more weeks, this will get a little bit more fuller, and then this year, other than and like a little soul patch. Other than that, it's clean.
Do you know what I really appreciate about Harry is that after about 5.5 years, he's finally going to have a Movember mustache this year.
Man, I can't get over the like after like 3 weeks or so, or it started like it itches here, it itches here. Like it just gets in the way. It feels weird because I'll try to drink something or kiss my wife or something. And it's like getting in the way.
Cop load on the face.
Well, I mean, it like what happens is because the hairs are here, it makes a bead of like cum and it just like dingles off the like lip. So,
Hey Harry, were you and I friends when I had a beard? I don't know. I reckon you and I became friends just after I shaved, man. But
I think so. The first time I saw you that nice smooth like cocoa butter shaved chin of yours was
Jesus
very
Christ.
exhilarating.
This whole live stream seems a little bit sort of rapey.
Well, I mean,
we started off talking about lessons how to sext in schools, but school.
I mean,
man,
it's only when you
just-
joined. It's only
yeah,
when
just-
you joined, Chris.
Here we go. 12-year-old girls, just cover your faces and then you can sex. What the?
Well, I was
fuck?
talking about Onision. Onision's a fucked
Onision.
up fucker. Like that guy's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I know, but it's like parliamentarians, MPs in Australia have been watching Onision's channel and just gone, yeah, that'd be really good. Like maybe we should like what the fuck?
What?
Yeah,
Yes.
so there's a guy by the name of Adam Band, and he's what is he in? Is he a Melbourne MP in Australia for the Greens Party?
Doesn't he actually have a job to do as a politician and not watch
Well, I
YouTube
mean,
videos all day?
And anyway, he suggested
Nifty's laughing there.
you could probably verbalize this better than me, Lord Nifty, because you are a pedophile, so you would understand.
Start with this shit again. You can't help yourself.
No, I
We
can't
got-
help myself, and neither can you. You should be in jail.
All right, okay. Next year you're doing Dry July. You have to do Dry July or Sober October or something.
Yeah.
Just no. But no, he's oh,
and that's what your 10-year-old victim said. No.
well, seriously though, I've just seen this other article appear. It's on Twitter. Miranda Devine's linked to it. A bank called Suncorp refused to hire someone because they found out about their child. They actually had convictions for child pornography. But the Human Rights Commission is ordered to pay compensation to this guy for not hiring him.
So how does it feel being unemployed and getting compo right now, buddy?
But it's just, oh my God, what's going on?
So they'd have to pay the guy who was
yeah,
hired?
they didn't. Yeah, he has. Okay, Professor Rosalind Croucher, the Australian Human Rights Commission president who replaced Gillian Triggs, has ordered a financial services company to pay compensation to a man who refused to employ after it discovered he had convictions for child pornography. They didn't even employ him.
Wait, so he was never an employee, but they need to pay him.
Although it's only $2,500, but it's like, why? I mean, you're fully entitled not to hire someone because of a criminal record. I mean, you know, companies can choose to hire you if you have one, like for some petty shoplifting 10 years ago or something. I don't know. I mean, the job market's pretty tight at the moment. That probably wouldn't help. But yeah, apparently, wow, we're actually paying these people compensation now because the company doesn't want to hire them. I mean, who could blame the company? But I mean, it's only $2,500. But why would you? Why is it even a compensatable thing? I mean, why are their politicians so excited over the idea? Hey, let's teach 14-year-olds how to send nudes to their boyfriends. I mean, why is this even a thing? What process went through the teachers' minds to think that this was a good idea? I mean, what is going on? What's in the water?
Do you know how many Chupa Chups and candy you can buy for $2,500? I mean, that's a fucking good.
No, that's true. He could have free candy painted on his van in, like, you know, nice stylish letters as opposed to just a spray paint, I suppose.
Actually, can I tell you a funny story? Like someone that I know actually had this van, right? And he was relaying this story to me. He had this van when he was younger. And he's like my age, you know, he's like 30, and he had this van when he was younger, and he lived across the road from a daycare center. I'm not even joking, right? And one day he was like working on his van, and he was just wearing nothing but like shorts. It was a really hot day. He was wearing nothing but shorts, and he was just working on his van. And he was parked outside the daycare center, because there were no parks outside of his house, across the road from his house. Now, the funniest thing about this story was that him and his friends had apparently tried to like come up with a name for the van prior to all of this activity. And they'd gotten a big magnet printed out, and it was called like the Candy Van or something like that. And they had this magnet across the van. Anyway, this is a true story. Anyway, received a letter in his letterbox from the daycare center. Please, if you ever park there again, we'll call the police.
Oh, no.
There's this guy, and he's parked outside of a daycare center
in his shorts,
with a magnet across the van in his shorts. The magnet says Candy Van. And like
oh my God! So like the coincidences of coincidences occurred.
Yeah, and like he obviously wasn't thinking about, like, it was obviously like he'd had this.
Well, no, because
he said there's nowhere he can park in his own property. He has to park across the street in front of the fucking daycare.
No, because I think all the parks in front of his own property were taken, and he was just working on his van. He didn't think anything about it.
Was it just one day?
Yeah, no, it was one day. But can you imagine there's a guy in shorts, and it's a hot summer's day, and he's working on his van, and the side of the van says Candy Van, and it's parked outside a daycare center. Like, the mental image is so fucking funny.
Oh my God.
It's still stupid. Like, here's a note. Please don't park your van here ever again.
Yeah. Like, only Harry would be sort of like, let's dig down into this and find out why that man should be allowed to park the Candy Van outside the children's center. Like, only Harry would be
perception is different from what reality is stating. I mean, I'd rather the perception looks bad, but if the guy is not doing nothing, leave him be. Fuck.
Yeah, let's Yeah, let's see how long he can park there before he rapes a child. You go, Harry.
I'm sure. Yeah, he's thinking about raping the child.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he is, but I'm pretty sure Nifty is. Come on, Nifty man.
He's like, damn it! I need to go down to the.
How long has it been since it's been on a bloody stream, and you're straight out of the.
This is a trip down memory lane for you.
Oh.
No, actually, the last time you and I were on a stream together, you were filling in for Nicole, and because you were filling in for Nicole, and I respect Nicole, and I don't know, like I don't respect you, but I respect Nicole, and therefore I didn't rag on you. But now you're you, and you're not pretending to be Nicole. I can say whatever I want.
If I had a wig and did pretend, could I just, I got some balloons over here.
It's just weird how she keeps dropping me like a hot potato. It's like this is like the second time now that I was like temporarily blocked by her and then unblocked, and now it's like she's not following. I'm just like, I have no idea. Like,
well, I'll tell you one thing right now. Nicole and I like talk on the phone quite a bit, and we spoke on the phone yesterday for a couple hours before going live. And the funny thing is that we exhaust most of our good talking points when we're on the phone together. But anyway, like she wanted to bring it up, like the whole Thomas Whitaker stuff, and I just cut her off. I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't care. I really don't care. Like, like whatever your feelings are there, just leave me out of it. So,
oh yeah, I understand. Like, that's something that me and Nicole are going to completely disagree on. She thinks he's a kook, and I think that he's got his, ducks in a row, and he's got his finger on the pulse. Because this man knows a lot about the Middle Eastern, a lot about what's going on there and how politics is done there, and the who's who of what's in control. So it's quite insightful to read his threads. I don't know if you follow. I don't know if you've read his threads, but they are very intriguing. If you do get a chance, you should read them.
Oh, look, I do follow him, but I don't really pay attention to him.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, to each his own. So,
yeah, no, is what it is.
It's just quite compelling. Like his arguments for what's going on in the Middle East and his arguments for what's going on in Asia are very, very compelling, and it's.
Man, when I deactivated my Twitter account, and then everyone on Twitter
freaked out.
Yeah,
we all thought you just got banned, man. That's the thing now. Someone disappears off Twitter, and it's just like, oh my god, they've been caught in the net.
Well, see, here's the crazy thing. Like, Nifty, you were one of the people who like reached out to me and was just like, "Hey, dude, how you doing?" And I appreciate that, like, because those who know me closely have access to my cell phone number, they have access to my email, WhatsApp, Skype, etc. But I
could use your cell phone number.
Yeah, but you've got my cell phone number. But
I don't.
Yes, you do, dude. You've got me on WhatsApp. But anyway,
I deleted those. I don't never use that.
Yeah, it probably came up as court evidence or something. But anyway, like. The crazy thing is that like it just spurred like for like 3 or 4 days, like people didn't contact me. The people who could have contacted me didn't, and it was just an excuse for internet gossip. But oh fuck, where was I going with this?
Well, as soon as I found out, I tried to like message you or something. I tried to figure out how the heck to contact you.
Yeah, I can't remember where I was going with this. I was gonna make some sort of salient point, but no, that's what I was gonna say. Like Twitter, ever since then, like just like Twitter aggravates me, man. Like Twitter really aggravates me, and I don't know if you guys have noticed. Like I'm not compulsively tweeting about 300 times a day these days.
I've been a bit quiet on there. I go in spurts, or I'm just sitting there in front of the computer and I'll like a lot of stuff. But yeah, generally,
if you see me, like recently, I've just been the videos I've like because I have my YouTube linked with my Twitter. Once I like a YouTube video, it just my Twitter tweets that out. So you see, vast majority of my stuff the past couple of days has just been I've just been absorbing information and liking it and sharing it. That's all I've been doing.
Yeah.
It's the weird thing about all this. We're all more connected. The thing is now that if you disappear for any reason for a couple of days, everyone freaks out. Well, not everyone, but some people just freak out. And it's just like, guys, busy weekend. Sorry, it's it's like I remember once on Facebook, I basically just did a bit of an experiment. I took myself off single to no answer. The interesting thing about that, when you do that on Facebook, it came up on everyone's feed. My name is no longer single. And it didn't say it said is no longer single. So
like, who you dating?
Was there was no she? I just took it off because I wanted to see if it would stop sending me internet dating ads. So sure enough, it did. But I had like 200 people all message me one way or the other, going, "What's her name? What's her name? Where'd you meet her?" Like, guys, what?
Can I just interject and ask a question? Like when you took your status from like no longer single, but you didn't disclose your relationship status on Facebook, that also corresponds with you updating your employment information to working at a kindergarten.
I knew that was coming. I just didn't know the exact structure of the joke.
It's like fucking.
I think a lot of this stems from like people's assumptions and people's like hopes that everybody's lives are going, picturesque, movie like, oh, I graduated, or I just met my boyfriend in college and we're going out. It's like they're thinking whenever they see these changes, they're thinking either the best case scenario, or when they see sad face, like, oh my God, OMG, they think somebody died, they go to the worst case scenario. So, I mean, it's all driven by presumptions, because I think it's because there is an emotional investment and an emotional feedback where people want either something really good or really bad to happen, because then they can, it's almost like it's emotional virtue signaling, almost, in my opinion.
The thing with social media is that it's not that divorced from real life, like but it can be far more curated. So would you leave the house, say, for a night out on the town, wearing sweatpants and flip-flops and haven't done your hair? No, you wouldn't do that.
No.
Like, you would leave.
Flip-flops maybe.
Well, I don't know, but you're a rapist. Anyway.
No, that's nifty. That's nifty.
No, come on. You look like the Green River Killer's disciple. Anyway.
Oh, okay. I don't know who that is, but okay.
Yeah, bullshit. You don't know who it is. Anyway.
Okay.
But like the thing is, it's like when you leave the house, you present yourself well. You put on nice clothes, a nice pair of jeans, shoes, whatever. Comb your hair. And so you sort of projecting this image into the world, but on social media you can curate that like far better, because you're not walk and talk and all that sort of jazz. But there was this crazy video that went around going back maybe 5-6 years ago. It did get shared on Facebook, but I can't remember what it was, and I think it was from England or the United Kingdom or something, and it was this video of this dude who he was posting shit on social media, and then it sort of juxtaposed it with his real life. And his real life, like, he would take a photo in the car, like going for a cruise in the car or whatever, and meanwhile he's sitting in the car wanting to kill himself or something in real life. It was fucking crazy, but that's what social media is like. Like, people put out this real curated version of themselves. It's fucking false. I can say that's the one thing I don't do.
Do you know how many times I try to do a video?
I don't falsify my life. I'm a fucking open book.
Do you know how many times? Hey, you know what? Do you know how many times I try to to record a video, and you know me, I don't do editing. I just record in one shot. Sometimes it'll take me 10 tries to get off on the right foot just to get the flow right for what I'm trying to talk about. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's very curated. You want to give the best of yourself.
Well, you always want to present the best of yourself. Like, you always want to, that's what I'm saying, like, about going outside and like wearing good clothes and shit. Like, you always want to present the best possible version of yourself. But the problem is that with social media, we can curate that and edit that down to a T. And it's so unfucking realistic. You know, the people who've got perfect lives on social media who we're friends with, and we look at them and we just sit there behind our desk or behind our iPhone and just go, oh my God, my life doesn't live up to that. They're the same people who are doing the same thing as well. Like, they're sitting behind their desktop or iPhone and just going, oh, my life is shit. It's so fucking fake. It is so fucking fake, you know?
Yeah,
like,
and it's either that or it's the other extreme where they're just in a shit mood on social media and they just complain about something. So you get this kind of extremes of people. You either get the, oh, look, their life is wonderful, or you get them, holy shit, they're losing their minds. Because, like, you know, you just sitting in front of the computer, you've had a shit day at work, and you complain about it online or whatever the case may be. So, you get extremes. You either get the perfect vision of their lives, or you get their
complete meltdown.
Someone about something because something's happened, and
why?
Normally you go home and you can't no one there to yell at, or if you live alone or whatever, or you go home and you don't want to just take it out on your family, so you kind of calm down or whatever. You see something really stupid or insane or whatever, but now you can just, like, you're in front of the computer anyway. What you've seen is on the computer, so you share it and go, oh my God, what's this shit? So there's that side as well. Some people just seem completely nuts online, but if you meet them in person, they seem really reasonable.
Yeah, I never want to meet you in person, but like, I think you that is nailed to head right there, because the extremes swing both ways because of the disconnect that social media provides us. The disconnect to be able to curate your life and make yourself seem more perfect than you are, but also the disconnect to be able to vent and be like, you know, so brutally honest with people that you would never do that shit in real life, IRL. Like, there's this, I think it just comes down to disconnect, you know? It's just great.
Social media allows you to do that more. I mean, there's always been these people, like, good example I heard once was there'd be this guy and he's always like really well dressed, expensive clothes, and he's got a flash fancy car, but no one's ever been to his house because his house is run down, really cheap rent. There's a hole in the roof, blah, 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 because he spends all his money on the outside vision. And there's, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of women who do that as well, and or not necessarily clothes in the car, but other things. They might be, you know, there's something, or even the house itself might be the thing they put. Like, you walk into someone's house and it's empty.
But you know what?
All the money on the house to show, hey, everyone, look how successful I am. But they're not really that bloated. They're not that well off. They can't afford to actually, you know, buy stuff for the house. They don't have any clothes. Their cars run down. You know, they kind of reverse there. And social media allows you to do that a lot easier without even spending money.
That's kind of like a metaphor, isn't it? Like that, you know, from the outside looking in, you know, it looks like people have got it all, but behind that sort of like very, very shallow wall, it's very, very fucking hollow. There's an empty space there. It's kind of like you were talking about, like, people who, you know, spend all this money to sort of like look like they're successful and affluent and stuff like that. I can't remember which country in Africa it's in, but there's a whole sort of subcultural movement that's been going on for decades of these guys who live in completely abject poverty. And they live in slums and they spend, like, you know, top dollar on designer clothing. Like, you would see it and you're just like, oh my fucking God, this is insane.
Yes, I've seen those photos, the contrast of them in their outfit, and it's pristine, and it's,
you know what that reminds me of?
The background is just slums.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me, you know what that exactly what it reminds me of?
What?
In Chicago, you'll see in the hoods, like, half the houses will be fucking closed down, boarded up. Like, a lot of people will be on the street or like on some porch of a rickety old house, freaking just like smoking like some crappy cigarette. but you'll see a freaking Cadillac rolling around, freaking gold rims and fucking like 19-inch fucking tires and shit.
Oh, but
And they're bumping
that's
some hydraulics, and it's just like that's where they put their money. And
no,
just
that's kind of like a different situation because you see that on the hood, but you know you go to the hood and it's like, you know, you walk into these shitty houses and it's like, well, how did you get a 40-inch LCD screen TV?
Yeah, these houses are, but they got fucking like cell phones. And
how did you get like an Xbox or a PlayStation or whatever?
How did you get that app? How did you get that tablet and that laptop and shit?
Yeah, I mean that's like different, you know, because it's like, well, I mean, you know, if you want to like put things on hire purchase and stuff like that, but like I don't know, I think there's a difference there. I think you're kind of right.
Yeah, it's the same concept because it's like they're living outside of their means.
Yeah, but like these guys in Africa who were like spending money on these clothes and shit, like it wasn't like they weren't living outside of their means. They were saving up. They couldn't take out lines of credit. Like,
oh, so you're saying they're saving up for fucking useless crap?
No, they're saving up for things to like, because for them wearing a nice suit or having a nice pair of shoes and shit like that, it's an escapism kind of thing. It's a self-confidence kind of thing, and I dig that.
Yeah, on useless crap.
Like, crap. It's not useless crap. I mean, these people are living in the slums, and if they're saving up for a long time, and that's the best they can do as an escape from the reality that they live in is to dress up in some nice clothes, then more applause to them.
And if they're living in the slums, where are they going to clean those clothes when they get dirty?
Well, you know, we can get down into the semantics of it. That doesn't matter. Saying, but the thing is that like, if that boosts their confidence, then that's fine. They're not hurting anyone. They're not taking out lines of credit. But when you go,
these people living in the hood in Chicago, driving around their Cadillacs with their fucking huge rims, it's making them feel good.
Yeah, but when you go to the hood, man, it's a different sort of situation because it's like you've got people who are taking out lines of credit, who are smoking crack, who are dealing drugs, all this sort of shit. It's a completely different scenario to what these guys are doing in Africa. It's a completely different scenario.
The wastelands are different, but they're still both wastelands. I mean, they're both they're cousins. Like, they're not direct kin, but they're cousins. They're related. I mean,
well, I mean, affluent areas, regardless of where they are still related. Like, but
so even if you have excess or
I'm sorry if I'm yelling, man. I've got my like microphone stand up.
No, you're good. I'm just trying to round out the idea. I'm just saying. So even if there's next to nothing in resources or an excess in resources, you'll still have people who are desperately trying to make themselves feel better.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. It's like it's human. It's human nature.
Here, what Misty?
I think the case with the guys in Africa, that's all they can do. That's all they've got access to. But in places like in the Western world, like I said, the guy with the fancy car and the clothes, you know, but he can't afford a decent house. Is in our countries, you have options, and you can actually, you know, invest, and you can in yourself, or you know, you can pay to be more educated. You can invest in the stock market, for example, or whatever.
There's much more higher access to jobs directly to jobs.
Well, actually, that's a really good point, Nifty, because the guy
you can put your resources into something that will make it so you know your fancy car and clothes actually reflects how successful you are. The problem is a lot of people buy the fancy house or the fancy car, the fancy clothes to make themselves look more successful they are, and the only way they can actually do that is to
by taking a loan.
Spend money shouldn't be spending or should be spending on something else. Like, you know, it's like the guy who spends half his paycheck down at the bar when he's got like a wife and kids at home.
So I can see that's where the difference is, because the guys in Africa, you know, they saved it up and they earned that, while these guys here, they're throwing the money around like they just don't care.
I suppose I think Nifty touched on this, which is like the guys who are in the hood who are dropping dollars onto rims on their car, it's like that money could be reinvested into getting out of the hood, because you live in an area where you can actually escape the hood. You can escape the hood. Whereas
technically, they are investing in something that can technically get them to escape the hood. But
rims. I get it, you know.
But that's
But like the thing is, it's like these cats in Africa, like that's all they've got. So they're just investing into making themselves feel better, look better, blah blah blah. They've got no hope of escaping. They've got no hope of escaping the slums. Whereas, like, yeah, I get it. Like, if you're in the hood and you're putting all your money into like gold rims on your whip, man, fucking get a grip. Like, put that money into, like, I don't know, getting out, man, getting off welfare. Like,
even just paying a bit more rent each week just to get out of the rougher areas, you know.
Yeah, whatever. All right, I'll be back in a minute. You guys keep talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, don't rape anyone while I'm away.
God damn it.
Sick fucks.
Pebbles Flintstone. Who is Pebbles? Pebbles Flintstone has been blowing up the chat. Look it up. It says, hello. First impressions are lasting impressions. People who overcompensate on social media, trying to show everyone that they're happy or really miserable, and that's a scientific fact that has been proven.
No, there's there's a funny little cartoon I saw about it's this like little comic strip. This woman who lives in this apartment alone, swearing at her cat to get into position, you know, so she could take a nice photo and say, "Oh, my little cuddle kitty and a glass of wine, bliss," but she's actually like sitting there really angry, tweeting on her phone. And it's I think it's a lot. There's a lot of overcompensation, I think, with it, and it's sad because, I mean, not so much with Twitter, because Twitter is you connecting with all these different people, usually about, you know, kind of things they say. Facebook is people you know, you work with, their friends, their relatives, their friends of friends, and everything. And I think that's kind of sadder, because these are people you know, and you can either check that. I mean, they're creating a false impression with people they actually have to deal with on a daily basis. You know, I mean, that's very. Eventually, you're going to get caught out. You're going to get caught eventually. You can't. You know, you can't sit on Facebook saying how wonderful your marriage is when all your friends and all your relatives know that you're going through a tough time. I mean, what's the point? I mean, all the people on Facebook you know, and a lot of them will know you better. But I think there's a kind of disconnect there as well, because, you know, on Facebook, I see people say things all the time, and it starts arguments, or you know, people are biting their tongues. You know, they're like, I have to work with this person. I'm not going to point out how utterly and obviously full of shit they are.
I know. Well, a lot of these people, when it's social media, is like a dopamine hit. You just want people to be happy for you and to like what you're doing, and that makes you feel better. I mean, even if your life is going to shit, people will retreat into social media.
Yeah, it's designed to do that. Though, like, I think it was about 18 months, 2 years ago, they basically, guys who started it basically come and said, yes, we designed this to be a dopamine hit to get you addicted to it.
One guy from Facebook says he regrets what they did, and he's like, we shouldn't be. This is horrible. We got to stop this.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a great tool. I mean, I use it now for I use Twitter basically to keep track of what's going on there, because, you know, it's just too hard to go through every website, every YouTube channel, every newspaper, every television show. I mean, I barely watch television these days. I don't watch television news at all. So it's great just to, you know, you line up a few people that give good advice or provide reliable links to reliable sources, and you can get your news like that, or just to keep up to date. So it definitely has its uses. I mean, I can't imagine how things politically would be going in Australia or America right now if we didn't have it, because basically the mainstream media would still have a stranglehold. I mean, there'd still be websites, but you've got to find the website.
Well,
you've got to get to it. But, you know, you're on Twitter anyway, so all these different sources go there. So it's good in a way to point you in the right direction. I mean, as long as you don't create a bubble for yourself, like some people do. They only follow people they agree with, and they block everyone who questions them.
Mm-hmm. But I actually think with what Facebook has become, it's they can and I only used Facebook in a rudimentary way. I only use it to stay in touch with people. And this was like years ago. I don't use Facebook anymore now. I just use like the messaging to talk to like a couple of people who I hang out with. And I even stopped using that recently. I think we're just going to get rid of the app and then probably get rid of Facebook entirely. I'm one of those people. But Facebook now has become instead of just naturally what is happening in your life has now been curated by those the powers that be, and it's all for nefarious purposes. So there's just like bad taste that's left in your mouth when it comes to, even though it's convenient, you know that it's being used for nefarious purposes. Like even if they say, "Oh, it's for your benefit," no, it's not.
Yeah, well, it's when I first got on Facebook, it was all very good, getting in touch with people, staying in touch. It was party invites and people putting the holidays on there. It was all very good and friendly. And then just over time, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before in the streams, people started creeping on there with political stuff. And I mean, the whole argument over censorship on Facebook back in 2009. Even if they wanted to censor people, it wouldn't have been an issue because very few people posted political stuff on there. No one was linking to serious news articles about controversial subjects. It was all just, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm having a party this weekend. It'd be great if you could make it.
Come on over, RSVP.
Yeah, it was just a way to like basically, arrange. A lot of people just used it to arrange events. I mean, you never saw them on there. They didn't appear on your feed unless they're inviting you to a party. Or something. It was very sociable and personable, and it was designed to give it a dopamine hit. But I think most people just used it to stay in touch, and it was great back then. But it just morphed, and it was the user's fault. It was the user's fault. People, I mean,
they accepted the agreements. Every update they accepted the agreements every single time.
Yes. Okay. But you have 3 people, 300. Say you have 300 friends from all the ex-school people, friends of friends, relatives, people you work with. After a few years, you have 300 people on there. Statistically speaking, you're going to have a few nutters that are going to post controversial stuff. It gets in arguments, and then these people are posting controversial stuff. So these people who wouldn't have done it themselves start doing it as a kind of like, they're like, oh, well, these people are posting this. I'm going to start posting stuff I think is right. And it just turned into a shit fight. And that's why I left it. It just got ridiculous. It wasn't, a lot of the people who were using it to be friendly and sociable were just not bothering anymore because that's what it was turning into. It was turning into Twitter. And Twitter was always used more for that, I think. And that was what it's for. So, because I'm still on Twitter. But because that's what I used it for, and that's what everyone's using it for news and arguments and everything. But
I mean,
the world between friends and fighting just became blurred on Facebook, and it was just no.
Yeah. Well, I guess the reason why I don't see or understand people's convenience to use Facebook is because I haven't used Facebook in that way to, like, coordinate my news and stuff. Even though I just, go through my subscriptions on YouTube, and I'll go through my Twitter feed and all that stuff. I'll do that. I don't consider that, a hassle. But I think in what you were just saying is how it devolves into like a Twitter kind of atmosphere. I never got that through my usage on Facebook, because I think how my life progressed, I naturally, because when I moved down from Canada to America in 2007, and that's when I stopped my usage on Facebook for about a year, because I had to get settled and get everything sorted out and try to get myself back like in order and swing. And I just just was focused on like brand new shit going on down here that I didn't get back on Facebook. So I naturally just disconnected myself, I think, to where I didn't have to deal with that intense social media like weight that like you're talking about now, because when I think about Facebook, I just think about the fun games that you'd have, like farmer, like 2D farmer, like plant your crops and like grow your animals and stuff, like talk to friends. Never all this like real talk and like serious debate and like political like posts and people destroying friends groups because of an argument that they've had. I've only been recently introduced to that in the past 3 years because of my social media activity on Twitter and YouTube and such. So I mean, it's still relatively new, but that's why I don't understand the full impact of how social media can just level friendships and just like drift people apart.
Yeah, it's because I think it revealed things about people you knew personally, that because you go to like a barbecue or whatever and everyone just chats about movies,
the weather and
stuff. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes depending on what kind of people you hung around, there'd always be maybe one or two that tried to get an argument about something going, say something stupid, but you're just like, man, that's a friend of a friend. I don't have to deal with them normally, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. But it's a strange effect of social media is like, even though all these people knew who you were, some part of your brain just thinks you're anonymous still, like you're in a forum under a fake name. That's kind of that merging of those two things.
It's like, I know you're real, but I've never seen you, so I'm still thinking you're not real. I know.
Yeah, it's kind of the reverse of now. People like, I mean, you see the phrase all the time on Twitter, read another book, because people keep referencing Harry Potter, because some part of the human brain doesn't separate. Look, that's fiction. That situation may or may not be realistic because it's been set up by an author. Bits that are included are just to keep the story going or sell books or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But people are referencing it like it's a real thing. Oh, this happened in Star Wars or Harry Potter or The Handmaid's Tale, so it could be real. It's like,
Trump
what part of your brain is linking these two? That's fiction. Yes, fiction does use a lot of real life events to get a story going, to give you something you can relate to, but they normally go off on like this ridiculous tangent. I mean, there's archetypes in there, there's things, you can relate to, but still, it is still a fiction, and the author's going to write it in a way to get whatever point they're across, and it may or may not be realistic, and it might not work in the real world.
Yeah, that's why the truth is always more frightening and scary than any fiction you could write.
Yeah, it's like watching those shows that go, oh, they did this in this movie. They fired this gun underwater, or this person fell from this height to do a garbage skip. But would you survive that? It's like the people making it. It's just for the story. So you've got so you have that with the Facebook. People are acting like they're anonymous online when they're not. Everyone knows who they are. And then you have the reverse of that, where people are taking fiction and applying it in the real world as if it's real. And it's very strange. I mean, all this talk,
it just makes 1D caricatures of the people that they're trying to ad hominem. Like that's what they do with Trump.
It's like the old propaganda posters you'd see from World War One, like the German soldiers, this evil Hun holding up like a dead baby or something. It's just like,
right.
Yeah, I mean, not to say that atrocities didn't happen, of course, but your average German soldier didn't look like that. I mean, obviously, the other sides would do like all the British soldiers were like 6'4", built like brick shithouses, and incredibly handsome and everything. It works both ways, but yeah, we're getting this 1D caricature, which like belongs in He-Man cartoons, quite frankly. Like, the guy you're arguing with isn't Skeletor. He's not Megatron. He's not, you're not Optimus Prime. First of all, you can't turn into a truck. But it's interesting, all these talk over the decades of how television affects people. And I think it's only people see how much media affects people and how it makes them see the world.
You can't believe the hero complex these people on the left have. They think they're actually, with the actions that they're pushing forward with now, like, openly harass Trump supporters and Trump's administration people in public. They believe that they're doing a heroic duty to help save the country from the edge of oblivion. It's nuts. It is LARPing to the nth degree.
LARPing, leftist LARPing. But yeah, it's very. I mean, look, you're in a kind of two-party system. We're in the same in Australia, and Britain's the same. I mean, there's minor parties and coalitions get formed, but basically, you've got a two major party system, and it's amazing how, because half the time your candidate is going to lose, half the time your party's going to lose, half the time, roughly speaking, and it's amazing how often, like in a person's lifetime, their side could lose and the country doesn't fall apart. But next time the party loses, they think the country's going to fall apart. You know, the way they talk about it, like as soon as, I mean, and both sides are guilty of this to an extent. I think the left is much, 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 much worse at it, though. The way they talk about, I mean, Trump was going to start World War III, so was George W. Bush, so was Reagan.
Well, if you want to take a look at a good example of their cognitive dissonance, look at the latest video of Ben Shapiro on Bill Maher's show. Just watch that interview. It's like 8 minutes long, maybe 10 minutes long. And it's perfect display. Like, Bill Maher is a great example of just the left's cognitive dissonance up to this point on everything that is Trump. And it's quite baffling. It's honestly astonishing. I still try. I keep forgetting. Every once in a while, I actually fully wrap my head around how the left thinks, and it truly frightens me because they actually think of me as like a jackbooted Nazi walking around with my MAGA hat on, in a literal sense, and it truly actually like worries me. And then like I'll forget, and then I'm just like, oh well, it's just like them, being subjective with like the media, but then I come back to the full realization that a lot of these people are just, yes, this is it, because of the last 3 years of nonstop, constant pounding of Hitler, Nazi, racist, homophobe, Islamophobe, everything that is bad and cruel in this world, that is Donald Trump. And I'm just, it's insane because none of this is proven. It's all based on, excuse me, it's all based on opinion and false data, false, made up, phony, fake data.
Yeah, well, when we had Tony Abbott became prime minister in Australia, like even before, like the election was coming up, and it wasn't a sure thing he was going to win. And it was basically like he was, they started to, it didn't gain any traction because I think most people realized it was ridiculous, but they tried to attack him because he was a Catholic. They tried to attack him, and they tried to basically, some tried to make out that he was going to just ban abortion. First of all, that's not how the system works. The prime minister can't just go, right, this is now illegal. But it was, and you see, like, there'd be like the open debates, people could sit there and ask the politicians questions. And, and the people that, I saw one woman in particular asked him, are you going to ban abortion? It's like, in the way she said it, the way she said it and the look on her face, this anger, she had already, and it was basically, I mean, abortion was
shivering? Was she like quivering? Was she like almost shaking with like fear and stuff?
She looked like she was determined to ram her head through a brick wall and was about to do it. She had that really angry little face, and it wasn't even an issue. No, neither side was making a big deal out of abortion leading up to the election. And all of a sudden, because he's Catholic, he's just going to turn around and ban abortion tomorrow. And it's just like, it's this fever. It's not even false data they're working on. It is their fear. Imagination.
Yeah, it's emotional-based arguments. This is exactly what is happening the past couple of days here in the United States. I don't know if you heard, but we had a Supreme Court justice said that they're going to be retiring soon, and the left is freaking out. They're saying that Trump is going to he's going to put on something Roe v. Wade. They're going to abolish abortion. They're going to abolish gay rights. This is the end. We've been saying, scream bloody murder. Like it's the heavens are falling from above, and everybody is gonna blow their brains out. This is nuts. They're freaking out.
Well, we're all supposed to be dead by now because of global warming. Before that, it was acid rain.
Trump's nuclear war.
War. And you see it so often. It happens more and more, and it's just bizarre. You compare it to like say the Cuban Missile Crisis. That could have ended up with nukes being flung, but anything you watch on it, yeah, people were worried, people were scared. Some people were digging underground bunkers in their backyards, but they seemed less hysterical. Even though it was like, yeah, someone could actually press the button here. The nukes are here. They're in range. And now, I mean, the nukes are in range at any point on the planet. There's nowhere on the planet they can't reach. But now people aren't, it's just, but we're freaking out about these other things, which,
I know,
like that's not going to happen. That's not actually going to happen. But, it's the panicking over. It's the panicking over. They've imagined the bad guy in their head, and they've attached that bad guy to a person, and they expect them to act in these ways. And it doesn't matter how many ways they don't do that; they still expect it to happen.
That's why they have to go find the Nazis. That's why they have to go find the Nazis or paint everybody alt-right or some bullshit.
Yeah, alt-right's a weird term because when it first started, I think Milo Yiannopoulos defined what the alt-right was when it first started very accurately. It was a bunch of Trump-supporting, disaffected conservatives who loved their memes, and that was true. I mean, when the term was coined, that's what they were, and those people called themselves alt-right. But then
now alt-right is ethno-nationalistic, like white supremacists. Like,
yeah, and there are some people that said we're alt-right and this is what we believe, and some people that no, we're alt-right and this is what we believe. And then there was the kind of fevered, paranoid imagination. No, the alt-right is this. And now they've started to attach alt-right to everyone, even though they've defined what alt-right is, like you said, white supremacy.
The whole disconnected conservative who loves their meme is now just the basic MAGA or the basic shit poster, the Kekistani. They are the Kekistani. They are fighting the good fight, and that's why all those groups popped up, or those labels popped up, because the alt-right was pretty much co-opted by the ethno-nationalist white supremacist people, and those people I don't associate. Like, no thank yous. Like, what, like, two wrongs don't make it right. It's not, no.
Well, like, no one calls themselves alt-right. Well, very few people call themselves alt-right now for that reason, because it's like that, and it's just like, well, no, I'm not on that. I just worship at the temple.
The left loves to call everybody alt-right. Left loves that term, but then the alt-left doesn't exist. That's a fake.
What would you do? I mean, do you have an alt-left? Because it's quite often you see people that are left, and they do turn out to be socialists or whatever, like what you'd call the extreme left. It's like,
it's more like a horseshoe. It's like the extreme horseshoe side.
Yeah, it's extreme horseshoe theory, but I don't know. I think it's all crazy. I mean, it's a funny thing is now everyone agree. The one thing everyone can agree on is the world's going crazy. I mean, they agree it's going crazy for different reasons. Some people because Trump got elected, and some people think, the people who are against Trump are totally unhinged, or because
it's because the cockroaches have been shown. The lights all over the cockroaches are running around crazy. The status quo has been shattered. Okay, like a Supreme Court justice is going to be put in. The Democrats are probably going to lose a good 2, 3, possibly 4 Senate seats. They might gain some House seats, but other than that, it's their goose is cooked in 2018. In 2020, unless they reform, they're done there. I mean, it's written on the wall pretty much already. But knock on wood and just hope for the best, but see what happens.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't think there's much going on. I mean, that's why I love watching old science fiction sometimes. Not super old, but I'm not talking 1930s. But old science fiction, it's interesting to watch the predictions people make that came true, and then at the same time to notice the stuff they completely missed, like
Hover cars.
Well, hover cars, and well, they had computers with still only had 2 colors, but the computers were actually sentient. You know, you couldn't play Doom on it, but it would actually, you know, plot to kill you and every other member of the human race. You know, which is it's actually quite.
The Matrix is the more refined version of that vision. So.
Yes, but you could play Doom on that.
Oh yes, you could.
Yeah, but yeah, you had sentient computers that would literally go crazy and try to kill their crew, but you know, you couldn't play Pac-Man on them even. So it's very interesting. Like the internet, very few people ever thought of anything remotely like the internet. Mark Twain did, strangely enough. He wrote this book. I can't remember what it's called, but
really?
It's the story of this guy who was accused of murder, but he saw from the other side of the planet who was actually responsible. Or something like that. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, basically, Mark Twain foresaw a kind of the internet, and someone else thought of something like that in early 1930s, before we even really had that's anything close to modern computer. But yeah, no. But seriously, there's some good websites out there. You could find like the visions from the 1910s, 1920s, what the future would be like, and it's just bizarre. Just like not just technology, but the fashion, and it's strange how they never thought society would change. Like societal rules would be exactly the same. They didn't, and the clothes. Sometimes the clothes would be different.
That's so weird.
Still wearing, you know, cummerbunds.
I think it's that. I think you can chalk up to navel gazing, because if they're looking at that aspect and like looking at how that experience, but then not focusing on how maybe clothes will change or how like society's like, you know, standards won't change, then it must just be navel gazing and wishful thinking. That's all I can see that as. But no, you know what? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just quite amusing how they imagined things would work and what we'd be doing, like drilling through mountains with nuclear rays and stuff, and how the cities would be laid out. And like you said, it's navel gazing, but there's no sense of cause and effect. It's like, why would you the city of LA will look like this in the year 2000? It's like, well, why? I mean, sure, it looks futuristic and high tech, but why would you build like that? Why would you have cars like that? Why would the buildings be so far apart?
Because it looks cool. It's different.
It looks cool. Yeah, that's basically it wasn't really serious thought. It's just, does this look futuristic? It's like making a car really sleek and stylish, but not actually, you know, making it really aerodynamic, but not actually.
That whole like 1930s like Superman like futuristic metropolis kind of stuff is like always intriguing, but it's not realistic in any sense.
It's very impractical. It's like watching a kid build a Lego city, and you're like, well, where all these people work? You know, you've got 3 houses, you got a police station, a fire station, a petrol station. What's everyone else do with their time? They just drive around with their cars. I mean, that was my Lego. But really speaking, when I think about it now, that was basically my Lego city. It's like I only had like 2 houses. I had like 50 minifigures living in this city with 2 houses. Nearly everyone had a car, but they had nowhere to go.
It was like a sorority and a fraternity.
Yeah, that's what we had. But yeah, no, they had nowhere to live, unless I suppose the cops could sleep in their chairs, I suppose, in the police station, but that's about it. You know, it's kind of like how they imagine the future. They forgot all the practical things of day-to-day life. Like none of the Lego houses had toilets in them. Lego people don't need to crap.
See, when I did my Legos, I never really did like a landscape or a layout or buildings. I usually like built like vehicles or like ships. I used a lot of inspiration from like Star Trek and Star Wars. I like to make like fighter starships and like, that was always so much fun. But you know what? I think it is 4:00 in the morning here where I'm located. I think we are going to round up and end the stream.
Okay. split soon anyway, so yeah, no. That works for
But
me.
it's been great.
Probably not
I know Chris went off like he muted Mike. I guess he was up to something or doing something. He might have passed out from his flamboyant drinking. But we love you, Chris. We always do. I always will have you on. And Lord Nifty, it's always good to have you back on, and you're always welcome on the channel anytime.
Well, thank you. Send me a message next time you plan to do one, and I'll see what I can do. Like I always say, my schedule's all over the place. My routine isn't very routine. Some things are, a lot of things aren't. But yeah, no, just send me a message. If I can make it, I will try. And yeah, but thanks for having me on. It's good to talk to you again.
All right, it's great to see you. Everybody, you guys have a good night. This is Swamp Cleaner. Everybody, just remember to check out Chris Logic Media and the Lord Nifty. You guys have a good one. See you later.
Not any really new stuff on there, but if people like the pop culture stuff me and him talk about, I will discuss me and Fixermatosis, or the Fixer as he calls himself. If anyone's really interested in hearing more of that pop culture stuff we talk about, send me a message and I'll see if I can get him on a stream one day, or me and him will just stream. So yeah.
All right, there you guys go. All right, everybody, you guys have a good night.
Well, you faggots are going to sleep already.
And with that note, I will see you guys later.